People say every college has its ghost stories. Most of them are harmless. Shadows in dorm hallways, footsteps after curfew, lights that turn on by themselves. At North Hollow University, there was one story students never laughed about. Because it wasn't about a ghost. It was about a group project. No one knew exactly when it started. There were no dates, no articles, no official reports. Just whispers passed between students late at night, usually right before midterms, when stress made everything feel heavier. They said that every few years, one group in the psychology department never submitted their final project. At first, professors assumed the students dropped the class. Then people noticed something strange. Those students didn't re-enroll. They didn't transfer. They didn't post online. They simply stopped existing. University records showed their names as incomplete. Not failed. Not withdrawn. Just missing. Security cameras never caught them leaving campus. Their dorm rooms were left untouched, beds made, laptops closed, backpacks still by the door, as if they had stepped out for only a minute. Most students refused to talk about it. Some said the stress drove them crazy. Others claimed it was just an administrative error, exaggerated over time. But there was one detail that never changed. Every October, in Professor Reeves' psychology class, there was always one group with an empty space. A name that appeared on the roster, and then disappeared the next day. No explanation. No announcement. And sometimes, late at night, students swore they received messages from unknown numbers. Simple messages. Polite messages. We still need one more person for our group. Most people deleted them. Some laughed. But a few replied. And after that, no one ever heard from them again. The assignment was announced on a Friday afternoon, the kind where rain pressed against the windows and students were already thinking about leaving. Professor Reeves stood at the front of the room, flipping through his notes, as if nothing about this class was unusual. The projector flickered to life. Final project, study of human fear responses. Groups of 5. 2 weeks. Groans filled the room. Names appeared on the screen, one group at a time. When Group 13 showed up, 5 students looked around, searching for faces they barely recognized. Mia noticed first. She cared about grades, about control, about things making sense. Jordan leaned back in his chair, already bored. Lena crossed her arms, unimpressed by the topic. Eli stared at the screen longer than necessary, like he was trying to memorize it. And then there was Noah. No one remembered when he transferred in. He sat near the window, quiet, watching the rain trace lines down the glass. After class, the 5 of them gathered near the exit, unsure of what to say. Mia broke the silence, already planning ahead. They talked about interviews, surveys, controlled environments, safe ideas. That's when Noah spoke. He said fear couldn't be measured in classrooms. That real fear only showed itself when people didn't expect it. They laughed, assuming he was trying to sound deep. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out an old VHS tape. The label was faded. The plastic cracked. He told them it belonged to his brother. He said the footage was part of an experiment. And he said his brother never came back after recording it. No one laughed this time. The hallway felt quieter. The rain outside sounded louder. Mia told herself it was just a story. Lena said there was no proof. Jordan joked that it was perfect material for extra credit. Eli didn't say anything. And Noah simply asked one question. Do you want real data, or fake results? By the time they left campus, none of them realized they had already agreed. They didn't tell anyone where they were going. That should have been the first warning. The road leading out of town narrowed into cracked asphalt, then dirt. Cell service faded one bar at a time until there was nothing left. Noah sat in the front seat, giving directions he seemed to know by memory. The farmhouse appeared suddenly, rising out of the fog like it had been waiting. Its windows were boarded. The porch sagged under its own weight. Tall grass wrapped around the foundation, swallowing the bottom step. Jordan joked that no one lived there because even the house looked tired of standing. No one laughed. The air changed the moment they stepped inside. It smelled old, not just dust, but time. Like something had been sealed away and forgotten. Their footsteps echoed too loudly. Even whispers felt wrong. In the living room, they found the television. An old model, thick glass, dials instead of buttons. A VCR sat beneath it. Both were plugged in. No one remembered seeing an outlet. Mia pointed out the wires, asking who had set it up. Noah didn't answer. Instead, he slid the tape into the VCR. Static filled the screen, loud enough to make Eli flinch. Then the image cleared. The camera on the tape was shaky, unfocused. It showed the same living room, but cleaner. Newer. Like the house hadn't started rotting yet. A voice whispered from the speakers. It was afraid. Desperate. It warned anyone watching not to stay past midnight. The tape cut to black. For a moment, no one spoke. Lena said it was edited. Jordan said it was staged. Mia said they should leave. Noah looked at the dark screen and shook his head. He said the tape always ended there. And that his brother never made it to morning. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the boarded windows. The house creaked softly, settling around them. And for the first time since arriving, it felt like they weren't alone. They told themselves they were in control. That was the lie that made it possible to stay. Cameras were set up in every room, small ones, easy to miss. Eli moved carefully, adjusting angles, checking batteries twice. Lena placed motion sensors near doors, hallways, the staircase. She said numbers didn't lie, and fear always left a pattern. At first, nothing happened. The house made its usual sounds, wood popping, wind brushing against the walls. Jordan joked about raccoons. Mia checked her phone every few minutes, frowning at the lack of signal. Noah stayed quiet, watching the TV even though it was turned off. Time moved strangely after sunset. Minutes stretched. Conversations died out. The air felt heavier, like the house was pressing in. Just before 11, the first sensor beeped. Then another. Then all of them. Lena stared at the display, confused. Every room showed movement, at the same time. Before anyone could react, the television turned on by itself. Static filled the room, flickering violently before settling into an image. It was the house again. The living room. Their living room. The footage showed them standing exactly where they were now. Mia saw herself shift her weight, then felt herself do it a second later. The recording was ahead of them. Eli stepped closer, his breath catching. In the corner of the screen, something moved. Tall. Too tall. It stood behind Noah, scarred face. Half of it was melted or burned, skin sagging in unnatural folds. One eye bulged, the other missing entirely, leaving a dark socket that seemed to pierce through their souls. Noah didn't turn around. He whispered that this wasn't on the tape before. The lights flickered once. Twice. The image on the TV froze. And somewhere above them, the house made a slow, dragging sound. As if something heavy had begun to move. The clock hit 12, though they didn't need it. The house seemed to know. The air grew thick, heavy, like wet cloth pressing against their skin. Then the lights went out. All of them. Phones had no signal. Nothing moved except the sound of their own breathing, too loud, too fast. They gathered in the living room, pressing together, shivering. Mia whispered that it had to be a prank. Jordan shouted at the empty corners, demanding it stop. Lena's hands shook over the motion sensor pad. Eli aimed his camera at the ceiling. The first scraping sound came from above, slow, deliberate. Metal dragged across wood. Then a thud. Something fell through the ceiling. Numb, pale, stiff, landing inches from Eli. Blood trickled down from the broken boards. The smell was immediate. Coppery. Wrong. No one moved. No one screamed. Then another thud. The hole widened. Something heavy pressed against the boards above, moving. The house seemed alive, watching, judging. Jordan tried the door. Locked. Windows? Sealed. The house had become a trap. The TV flickered on again, despite the blackout. Static resolved into an image of Lena, alone. Her face twisted in panic, tears streaking her cheeks. Her friends were gone. Mia reached for her. When she turned, Lena was gone. Only her shoes remained, neatly placed by the door. Silence filled the space. Heavy. Expectant. And then, faintly, the dragging above. The house had begun collecting. And the night was only just starting. The TV hummed. A low, distorted sound that crawled under their skin. It showed the living room, their living room, in real time. But something was wrong. There was a delay. A heartbeat. A second. A pause. And in that pause it moved. A tall figure appeared behind them. Its movements weren't natural. They jerked, like an old recording skipping frames. Mia froze. "Please, make it stop," she whispered, voice cracking. Jordan grabbed her shoulder, but his own hands trembled. Noah stepped closer to the screen, calm in a way that made everyone uneasy. "It wants the experiment finished," he said. The tape in the VCR pressed itself further, almost sliding into the screen. The static flickered violently. The images on the TV glitched, faces stretched, shadows crawling along the walls. One by one, they saw themselves on the tape, standing where Noah's brother had once stood, mimicking their every movement, but slower, more deliberate, as if the tape had learned to wait. The temperature dropped. Breath turned to fog. The sound of dragging feet circled the room, coming from every direction at once. Mia tried to run. Jordan tried to block the door. But the figure was already behind them, in the TV, in the reflection of the broken mirrors, in the corners of the house. Noah pressed play again. The tape glitched. Static consumed them. And suddenly, the line between the tape and reality blurred. They weren't just being recorded anymore. They were being rewritten. And the house waited, patient and hungry, for the next movement, the next reaction, the next scream. The tape didn't just record them anymore. It controlled them. Every movement, every blink, every shiver, mirrored on the screen, one by one. They watched themselves standing in the living room, frozen, pale, staring at nothing. The TV showed their faces, eyes dark, empty, hollow. Outside the reflection of the screen, something moved. The old man appeared. He was taller than the ceiling, hunched, with a twisted, scarred face. Half of it was melted or burned, skin sagging in unnatural folds. One eye bulged, the other missing entirely, leaving a dark socket that seemed to pierce through their souls. His mouth stretched in a permanent silent scream, jagged teeth glinting in the flickering light. His body was uneven, arms too long, legs bent, fingers curling like claws. He didn't walk. He slid. Slow. Deliberate. Silent. Mia screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the tape. Jordan swung at him. His fist passed through air as the man's body flickered in and out of the shadows. Lena tripped over a cable, and the old man loomed above her, face inches from hers, breathing hot and rotten. Eli's camera captured him in every frame, a warped shadow flickering behind them, always closer, always just out of reach. Noah stepped forward calmly, pressing play again. The glitching intensified. Static consumed their forms. One by one, the group appeared on the screen, standing where Noah's brother had once stood. They were trapped in the recording, frozen in a circle. Eyes black. Skin pale. Silent. Outside the tape, the old man lingered, still watching, still waiting. His damaged face twisted in a grin that promised he would never let them go. The experiment had ended. Or perhaps, it had only just begun. The police found the farmhouse a week later. Empty. Silent. Not a mark of struggle. Not a trace of the 5 students. The doors were still locked. Windows sealed tight. The only thing left, the TV. It was on. Static flickered across the screen. And in the final frame, the 5 students sat in a circle, pale, eyes black, the same as on the tape. And in the corner of the screen, the old man lingered, watching, Waiting. Smiling. Professor Reeves canceled the project. No records of the students existed anymore. Noah's enrollment had been erased completely. But the story didn't end. Somewhere on campus, in a quiet dorm or forgotten library basement, a new student received a message. "We still need one more person for our group." They thought it was a classmate joke. They replied. They went to meet the group. No one ever came back. Campus security found the room empty, except for an old TV and a VHS tape, labeled Fear Study, Group 13. When the tape played, the screen showed 5 students, 4 of them missing from years ago. And sitting between them was Noah, pale, silent, eyes black. And behind the group, in every flicker of the static, the old man crept closer. He didn't walk. He waited. He followed. Through the tape. Through reality. Through anyone who answered the message. Every October, the cycle begins again. And some nights, if you listen closely, you can hear the dragging of his feet. Feel the weight of his gaze. The last thing anyone ever hears before disappearing is the whisper from the tape. The experiment is not finished, yet. Years passed. The farmhouse faded into memory, a warning whispered only by students who survived. But the story never truly ended. Every October, the message appears again. "We still need one more person for our group." Freshmen think it's a joke. They reply. They go to the meeting place. They never come back. Somewhere, an old TV flickers. A VHS tape spins endlessly. On the screen, 5 students sit in a circle. Eyes black. Faces pale. Silent. Noah sits between them, unblinking. And behind the group, the old man waits. His burned, twisted face never moves, except for that grin. The one that promises he is still hungry. He watches. He follows. The tape learns. It waits. It chooses. Every student who answers becomes part of the experiment. Every scream, every heartbeat, every moment of fear, recorded. Forever. And sometimes, if you are alone at night, and you hear dragging footsteps behind you, and your phone buzzes with a message you weren't expecting, remember, some projects never end. They just wait for the next member.